many of you know won't God do it?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is time for KCW Moments. We're unplugged, real and relevant. I'm Kimberly C. Williams, and I'm your host. And today I have two powerful women here with me today. To my left is Miss Ebonie Riley. She is a policy analyst. Yes, Wakanda forever. Ebonie Riley is a policy analyst, and she is also a social justice advocate. And we're excited to have her here today. And on my right, I have Miss Waikinya Clanton. She is with the DNC, a Community Engagement Associate Director, and she's also the founder of the Power of the Pump. Yes. So we're excited to be here today. My co-host David is not here with us today, but we're still going to keep it real, and we're going to be relevant, and we talking real talk today. So I'm excited about that. Today our topic will be the political climate in the Trump administration. We all know that Monday will be Lincoln's birthday, and it's a national holiday. But we want to talk about what's going on in the community now and what this how this is affecting us as a community and as a whole. And I got two powerful women here that's going to keep it real. And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to help you. One of the things I've always wanted to do is empower my sisters and brothers with information that they can then roll out into their communities, because a lot of times we are at the table, right, but the word never makes it back to the street corners. And one thing I love about y'all is that y'all are out on the campaigns. I mean, it was because of your work, Waikinya. A lot of your work, it's other people who work, and I want to make that clear. You know, it is a team of people, but I have to give honor to whom honor is due. With the DNC, y'all really put work in Alabama, and the numbers don't show. The election results don't lie. Listen, you hear me? Listen. We've been out on the, out on the field, and so I'm excited. But before we get started in this conversation today, I got to make and pay some bills. You understand what I'm saying? So I want to thank Shalette Wright and Beyond the Mirror. She is my stylist, my hairstylist, my makeup artist. She keeps my face beat to the gods. You understand? Yes. So we're excited about her. And also Marky D Photographer, who is my in-house photographer. And so I'm excited. It's because of the two of them and the work that they do that helps me be here this month. If you want to learn how you can sponsor, you can always call me at 240-461-2227 if you want to know how you can sponsor a show, or if you want to sponsor for the whole month. But we're excited about what's going on here. So let's get talking, ladies. Let's go. You know, everybody, y'all saw us doing our Wakanda thing. You know what I'm saying? Wakanda forever. Wakanda forever. We are all fabulous today. And we all ready in our attire and ready to get started. I myself have seen the show 2 times. Thursday night, and I went last night again. Plan to go again tomorrow because I'm gonna preach that thing. It's so much spiritual connotation in there. I'm gonna help somebody in a minute. You know,
I'm with it. You might help me. I need to help too, so we can do that together.
Well, I saw it Thursday night, and I'm going tomorrow to see it for the second time. But I was all up in that thing right after work.
I know that's real.
I also saw it last night, and I saw it on Wednesday. Disney did a preview, so I saw it on Wednesday, saw it last night, and I'm going to see it again on Sunday. So that's right. We all keeping this economy going.
I know that's real.
The Black Panther economy straight.
I know that's real. I try to keep that dollar in our community.
Can I give a quick shout out to somebody who's not here, because that just triggered me? Keeza. Williams with the Black Upstart posted that although we are supporting this movie, we do need to buy a stock in Disney, and I cannot agree more. That's only $100. We get an E-Trade, Ameritrade, and go ahead and buy a good stock before that thing climbs because of all the money we're pouring into it. So let's empower ourselves as well with the stock.
Right. I know that's real. I know that's real. So we're excited, but we're going to be talking about a couple of things. Again, we cannot be ignorant. You know, the Word of God says that we can't be ignorant to our enemy and his devices. So it is my job. God has empowered me to have the opportunity to come and be a part of WBGR and have this platform. I don't want our people to be ignorant anymore. You know, I don't want us to say or to have the excuse anymore, well, I tried this and it didn't work, I did this and it didn't work. But we're going to give people some solid, tangible stuff today to help them see the difference. You know, mass media, the NBCs, the CNNs, they don't always tell us the truth, ladies. They don't always tell us what's really going on. So, Ebony, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about some of the things that have rolled back. You know, with Trump, with his administration, he's pushing back on the road, and he's rolling back on civil rights. We're talking about the vote, the different things he's making things harder. It seems like everything that President Obama, my forever president, tried to roll out to help communities, to help Black and brown communities, and just people in general.
Right. And poor communities. Let's be real about that. Yeah. 99% of America is not necessarily poor, but not affluent.
That's right.
And I think most of the things that President Obama tried to put into place before he left office were things that help sustain Americans and sustain global culture as well. And now we have an obstructionist that is simply dismantling everything that could actually make us the strongest country in the world.
Yeah, I think to your point, one of the most important things that we need to first go back to is to make America great again, because we need to talk about that ideal. So what is that? President Obama tried to create diversity and inclusion for everyone, pull everybody into the fold while making policies that would help the disadvantaged. However, there are poor white people, but I think that the ideology that goes with being white makes you feel like you're not poor, but you actually are. So the Make America Great Again spoke to a group of people who actually are low income, have low educational attainment, but continue to think that they are superior. So Trump's policies are actually, like you said, for poor people are going to affect them too. So America's not going to be so great for them either. They just don't know it yet. And so what we need to understand and for us to focus on is paying attention outside of the rhetoric. Right now, we're just on a high level, Trump this, Trump Russia, Trump been the mistress. We need to focus on what our local politicians are doing under this administration, as well on a federal level. But we got to focus on states. As he rolls back federal regulations, federal policies that were put in place under the Obama administration, we definitely have to make sure that we pay attention to what's happening under that umbrella in our states, because that's where the fights are going to go back to with these policies, the states.
Well, and Ebony, I want to just echo that with some other thought for folks. People on the ground, and I had some I've only been at the DNC for a little less than 6 months now, but I've been on the ground several different times in that short amount of time. And what I see is an uprising of people. People are tired of being dormant. These folks feel these effects. They know what kind of country they want, and they know the kind that they're being sold, and it's unacceptable for them.
That's right.
I think I'll point to the most recent example in Alabama, and it was so weird. Like, it was eerie on the ground in Alabama for a minute. And I'm from Mississippi, so for me, I knew what I was going into with the culture of the South. But then getting on the ground and just the eeriness that kind of existed in that space where you had folks who weren't even talking about elections. Now, this is the South, so normally, we don't talk about politics as a matter of courtesy to folks, but there's always like at least some whisperings of what people are thinking, of what they're feeling, and there was none of that. It was so unreal, and which let me know that the movement was happening underground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
People were protecting their families and their lifestyles, but the movement was actually happening underground, and so which meant you had to get to the core of the community to also make sure that things were still happening in the way that they needed to, and that organizing was still happening in a way that when it started up, the change we needed was going to happen. Right. And so, but that goes to the sophistication that is people, right? Like, we are sophisticated people, particularly black people. Folks often don't give us enough credit, and sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit about actually how sophisticated we are, particularly as it comes and relates to politics. And because for us, politics is personal, right? So we understand how who we elect and put into our office, what position of power can impact how we feed our children, what schools our kids go to, and so what I saw was that people were tired and they knew they had to do something, and that's what happened. And I think you're going to see more of that as we move forward.
Yeah, I think people were just like, is he for real? And yes, the answer is yes. He is for real. He's serious. He means everything he says, and there's a cohort of people who actually believe in these principles, and it's scary. So I'm glad we don't show our hand. Because to be honest with you, and I'm going to be controversial, we had 8 years where we did nothing. We did not prepare for what's next. We didn't look to the future. And if this is the example that we need to organize, and so be it, but we will fight it. We fought it before, and we'll fight it again.
Yes, I believe that.
We have a resilience to us, not just as black people, but as Americans, right? Like, we understand the culture in this country, and so when it's time for us to protect our babies, because that's what Alabama was about, it was about black mothers and black fathers saying, no. So, and I'll be a real quick story. So when I was coming to D.C. for the first time on an internship, my parents sacrificed a lot for me to get here. And they also didn't do that lightly, because I didn't have any family here. I didn't have any friends here. So making that type of commitment to go somewhere I've never been before, well, I had been, but not as an adult before, and put that on the line, my dad had to trust who I was going to be there with, right? So my congressman had to be someone who was trustworthy. My parents could see and knew who to call on. They didn't have that in Alabama with Roy Moore. There was no way that a mother or father could actually think that they would send their 16 or 17-year-old daughter to go page for the Senate. And they sent her to be Roy Moore. Who can pick up the phone and call you anytime and tell them to come to your office. Someone who has historically been accused of inappropriate behavior with young people. Oh my God. That was what was on the line in Alabama. See, most people thought it was about, it was some other connotation with it. No, it was about whether or not I was going to choose to send my babies to somewhere with someone who has been accused of being a pedophile. That is what that boiled down to. It was a personal issue, and that's why I say politics, particularly for black people, has always been personal. And it ain't always just with your elected officials. Sometimes you got to apply pressure to people even you like.
That's right.
And that's how you get things done.
That's right. And I think that is true. It's always personal. A lot. I've had, the privilege to work on the ground with both of y'all throughout my career here in D.C. And I've seen you put in the work. But one of the things that I brushed up against when my daughter was working with the National Action Network Youth Move and doing different things, some of my family members pushed against me. Ebony, some of the things that we endured. They wasn't quite understanding. A lot of people don't understand why couldn't get that. I think, for the first 2 to 3 years of my volunteering with NAN, I was, in and out of homelessness. I was going through different things. And my family some family members, some friends were saying, why would you allow your daughter to do this? Why you fighting for other people? You need to help yourself. But one of the things that we learned in this training session that I was in earlier before coming to the show was, and it used to be Brianna's slogan, and it still is her handle on Twitter is Save to Serve. And that's one thing that we have to understand. We are saved to serve. We are here because we are here to serve the people. And I think that's what we're missing in Congress. That's what we're missing in these levels of politics, where people are no longer running because they want to serve, but they're running for the title, they're running for the position, or they're kind of running for their own legacy.
And for wealth.
And for wealth.
The money in politics has muffled out the voice of the people. And that's what the issue is as well. And we've seen that recently with highlighting some of the funding that the NRA has given to some of the politicians. And we need to, it's both sides too. We actually need to re-elect on the House side, as we know. That's where the purse strings are. That's where the budget is formed. That's where the money, it's a 2-year term. That's it. Not 18 years. People been in there since 1970 something. It needs to be updated by the voice of the people and not the money. But right now, the way things are set up, lobbying is a factor, and we don't go to our offices enough. How many times have we gone online to look at what the Senate's saying on the House floor? And on the House floor, we don't. It's there. It's transparent. They are telling us what we're doing, but we're still not doing anything about it because we believe we don't have a voice, and that's not true. If it wasn't for that next young people with DACA, I mean, they flooded. This is just an example. They flooded the Hill for days on days, put their bodies on the line, got arrested. Some were deported. Some are in holding right now. And if they didn't do that, DACA wouldn't have been a conversation that held up the budget to cause, quote unquote, to shut down. So we have to really use the power of the people and the power of the pump with the black women, but we'll get there. And that's next, to really be able to push back on some of these policies put in place because they don't value our voice. They don't think that we're going to do it. They think we're complacent. We have to show them that we're not. And it's not, controversial or it's democratic to protest. Let's talk about that. Yeah. So that's your right as an American to protest and to use your voice to push back against things you disagree on. It's about sovereignty and democracy.
Well, I just want to add something there with the NRA. So most people don't know this, but the NRA is a member-based organization. It costs $30 to join the NRA. So let's get strategic for a minute on this, right? And each one of those members has voting authority. So let's just take a moment and get strategic on it. So what if black folks decide we're gonna all join the NRA?
That's a good point.
$30.
$30.
What if we just were radical in just one moment and say, you know what? I understand how this works. These people have a huge platform. They have huge authority. What if we designated a time, maybe during Gun Violence Prevention Month, and join the NRA?
That's a good thing, because you're good at starting moving.
I'm real strategic. I'm real good at infiltration.
But what we learned is that we're not talking about race right now, but they changed the rules. So we join and they change the rules. Then what we gonna do?
But remember, we have to vote on those rules before you can change it. Anything you do, Constitution, bylaws, all of that. But if you're a member organization, you can't have a policy change unless your membership agreed to it. So but we have to get smart about that. So if you understand that the wheels on the bus are turning because NRA is providing the fuel or the power stirring fluid, let me put it that way, and the power stirring fluid, well, join the NRA so you can be a part of which power stirring fluid you provide.
That's right. And I think that's a key thing right there, Waikinya, because so many times we don't pay attention to things. It's like a smoke screen. I didn't know that it only cost $30.
$30.
I think I need to join.
So let me tell y'all what happened. So I was with a group of friends. I love my friends. All my friends, we kind of think almost alike. That's why we friends, right? And we were talking. I think it was on the last massive school, not the last one, but the one before the last, and before that one. We were actually in Tennessee. We're in Tennessee, and we were having a conversation around how can we stop this, because we know for decades it's been impacting our community on a personal note, day to day.
That's right.
Right, in some of our major cities, some of the most, at one point, some of the most powerful, thriving cities for black people were flooded with guns. You look at Chicago and Baltimore, and look at Detroit, cities that were they were golden spots for black folks. But all of a sudden they succumbed to what? Gun violence, drugs, because people didn't want to see black people thriving. Right. They understood what that meant for them culturally, and we were to understand our impact and our influence. And so this was crowd control for them. Right? It was crowd control.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Being from Chicago, there's no secret that if you can't get what you need in the state of Illinois, you go 15 minutes from Chicago. You can go to Hammond, Indiana, right over the bridge, and get what you need to get. So I refuse to believe that the vice president, who was the governor of Indiana, Mike Pence, was unaware that his state helped facilitate Chicago's gun violence. I refuse to believe that he didn't think that Montana, North Dakota, other states that have no federal policy, you can just go to a gun show, purchase the gun, wasn't getting filtered back into these cities. So it's not.
Or either look, I ain't even gonna say that. I'm gonna say sometimes abandoned cars end up in our neighborhoods full of guns, and trunks are popped open, so ain't no key but the trunk open. Like, that ain't by mistake. That's by design. And so we got to get into what's the design behind a lot of this stuff. When you talk about food crisis and food deserts in the South, that's by design because poor people are easily to influence.
Yes.
So let's get into that. Why you want to control someone's education system. Why you take civics out of public schools, but they can still teach it in private schools.
That's right.
It's because it's power. It teaches you about every level of government, how to make change happen in your community. And when you do that, like when you start controlling, and it's small things we got to pay attention to. It ain't this over. Trump isn't as a bright, shiny object.
That's right.
I could care less about Donald Trump and what he's doing in 1600. Let me tell you why. Because it's more important to me what Phil Bryant is doing in Mississippi. What's more important to me is what's happening in states like that across this country. When you're talking about people taking over state legislatures, I want as much money as possible to hit the ground for state legislative races because we have a census coming up and it's already too late.
That's right.
Republicans started organizing around the census 5 years ago.
Yeah.
If not a little bit before, after they get that first survey, they own it. And you know why they can get on it like that? Because they have billions of dollars that are being poured into their system, into the RNC and all these other super PACs to fund this work. That was the worst thing we could have done. And as Democrats, I'm going to stand by that. We messed that up. We should have never let no unidentified money come into politics. That was a mistake. That was a huge, huge mistake. Because what it did is it's the small things, y'all. And this stuff gets down to just more than just what political side you on. That's just an idea. That's a design to help us keep us separated and not even understand what unifies us.
That's right.
When you talk about the culture shifts among poor people and how black poor people are pitted against brown poor people and white poor people and vice versa.
Yes.
Right? Where does that stem from?
Yeah.
Because they're selling you ideas that they don't want to give you the tools to attain.
That's right. That's the hand you gotta watch.
That's the hand you gotta watch. The one that's so eager to feed you when you should be able to feed yourself.
Exactly.
So, I'm down my box.
That's good. But when you said that, it made me think about the Willie Lynch syndrome. It goes all the way back. Divide and conquer. Put them against one another. You know, and it's just, he said, and you just sit back and watch through the generations. You will see it's going to be perpetual. And it is systematic on the way they do things. One of the things that I wanted to say, too, was like, oh, no, I can't say that because everybody ain't seen the movie, so I'll hold on to that.
They got up to Tuesday. They got up to Tuesday because you got to work on Monday. So Tuesday you got to
Okay, got you. But I do want to say, so I'm going to skip over that, but I want to say this. I'm piggybacking off of what Ebonie said. On November the 6th, 2018, to the date, okay, there is 33 Senate seats, 435 seats in the House of Representatives, and 14 governorships that are up for re-election. These women that are sitting beside me, and many women like Black Women's Roundtable and different people on the ground in Alabama and Florida and all these states, in North Carolina and these states where we have had some problems and some issues when it, with voter suppression. These things are going on. We have to express ourselves in our right to vote. We can never get outside of that. It's so many times as millennials, and I know Waikinya, you're getting ready to do a millennial convention coming up in April of this year, and I'm just encouraging everybody that can get to Washington D.C. in April the 12th through the 15th. If you're a millennial, if your children are millennials, if you are an adult who has resources that can help millennials, if we want to change the trajectory, if we want to change the culture, if we are tired of seeing our sons and our daughters murdered and on these issues, we got to get behind millennials that's doing the doggone thing. I don't care if you like this one or you don't. You got to get behind the force that's doing something. So I'm telling y'all, all the millennials, and I know the screen is flipping behind me, get the information. I've tagged Waikinya on my Facebook page. Tag her. Find out. Get involved. You got to get involved. If you don't get involved, I need all y'all to just shut up. I'm just saying, and let the ones that is doing the work and getting it done, let us do it. But don't get in our way. Do not get in our way. But I just want to say this: with Waikinya, she's working with the DNC, and again, she has been very effective on the ground. But not only that, with the power of the pumps, that movement, it is a movement. It's a moment in the movement, but we have to understand movement is perpetual. It's a verb. You keep moving. You got to keep going. It's not about about just millennials, but if the older generations, if they don't allow the millennials to stand on their shoulders, they won't have the leverage. Why make them start all over when you got the key? Pass the baton or do something. Give them some water. Do something. Okay, I'm on my soul. Okay, but I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? It is so much going on, and so many different smoke screens, and so many different facades, and like you said, systematically just doing little things to get us off our game. We got to pay attention. It's personal. This vote in 2018, this vote in 2020, y'all need to make this real personal. It's real personal for me. Earlier this last year, I became a grandparent, so I know my baby, my little dink, as I like to call him. You understand what I'm saying? His life is at stake. You understand what I'm saying? His life is at stake. And like one thing, I love what you said, Waikinya, when you said, why just take the hand? Always taking the resource when you're supposed to feed yourself. One of the things that I love in my organization called Nikayo Outreach, and in the Greek that means to conquer. One of the things that I love, I said, we're bridging the gap from welfare to wealth, and creating generational gap, closing the generational gap of poverty. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things I learned is about socioeconomics. If we don't change our minds, Waikinya, we will never come over. We will never get it. We will keep taking handouts. But until we change our minds, it has to be a paradigm shift, not only in the realm of the spirit, but in the natural. We have to change this thinking. You understand what I'm saying? And we got to get behind the forces that are moving. I get tired of people saying, oh, they just want TV coverage. Oh, they just want this. Oh, they just want that. But guess what? The media is driving this. The media tells you what you want to hear. The media tells us, like we said, we Wakandians all for real, right? But I was just watching yesterday, they were saying you had 2 females that were talking about they got beat. Trolls saying they got beat at a movie. Why we just can't be great? Why our movie just can't do what
it ain't why we can't be great. We are great. We are great, which is why the great will always be under attack. That's right. So that's just a boom. It's there, right? So you got to also understand what to ignore and what to entertain.
That's right.
So what you can't do is neglect the fact that we grossed $25 million on opening night.
Come on.
You can't dispute that. You can't dispute that. Can't dispute that on Thursday, right? What you can't also further deny is that this movie is slated to break. It's already broken records, but it's slated to break even more records.
200 million this weekend.
Yeah.
Pre-sales outsold before anything else.
Right. So the great will always be under attack.
That's right.
Why do you think it was necessary for people to go and take us from a land, bring us to a land that we didn't know, want to control what we think, control what we ate, control what we did? Why do you think that was important to them? Because we possessed something that they cannot take from us. They've been trying to figure it out. You had Henry Lex. Like, we are magical people. Yes. That is real.
Yes.
Listen, every attack that's been placed on us has been an attempt to wipe this planet of us, but it is impossible. We're the original people.
I know that's
so you can't get rid of you cannot get rid of the original. Like it is. We are the masterpiece.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
So one of the things that we're doing when you talked about the power of thinking and how that affects everything else we do with the Black Millennial Convention, one of the primary things around our advocacy isn't just on policy. It's on racial equity.
That's right.
So when we're going in, normally folks go to the Hill to advocate. We're going to the Hill to educate. Educate these elected officials on how what they're doing, how it's impacting people. People, all of this stuff impacts all of us, but it also impacts us all differently. So whereas your president up there want to give us some food boxes, he didn't understand what he was doing was impacting his own people who got his own skin color.
Who the majority are on staff
these
and
social
other
welfare
welfare safety net programs. It is not African Americans or Latinos. It is white people.
Listen, but also be very clear that everything that is being done out here, and this is me, Waikinya, founder Powered Pump, and nobody else, saying that all of these attempts that have been placed out here in America against Black folks has been about genocide. So they want to get rid of us from the poisoning of our waters. Flint is going on about 3 years without clean water.
Right.
Ain't nobody trying to make an attempt to clean that water up. 4 years. 4 years, actually. 4 years, and ain't nobody trying to clean that water up. You got all of this mass incarceration, all these unfair prison sentences. Come on, man. Now you got also folks out here thinking that it's okay to grab and touch me. No. That ain't gonna work for you either. No. So you got all of these things that are happening in this country as an attempt to get rid of people who are different. Not understanding it is our differences and our uniqueness and our breeding that make this country what it is.
Yes, I want to touch right here on Flint. I remember, Ebonie, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, but when the Flint crisis first happened and we were on the lines, talking on the telephone lines with the preachers and stuff over in Flint, and I remember one of the pastors saying, and this, I'll never forget it, because when I heard it, y'all, I'm telling you, it just made me just almost just cry. When you said genocide, the pastor said that the poison that was placed out for our people, that it will take over 30 years to clean the bloodline.
That's right.
That means that whole city is done. The babies who are there right now, they cannot procreate.
That's
Mothers who wanted to do it cannot procreate.
That's right.
It's genocide. Yes. And no one wants to use that word because they say, oh, it's so strong. Do we really know what that means? Yes, I know what that means. And what I'm saying, I'm going to call a spade a spade.
Yes.
I'm calling a spade a spade. If you, as an elected official in Michigan, if you're not going to that Capitol every single day, making a petition, having a piece of legislation, suing the United States government for not cleaning your water, you need to be gone.
Yeah.
You need to be gone. Right. And I'm calling it out right here, right now. It is no excuse why in the United States that no community, no state should have unclean water. That goes for the Mississippi Delta, that goes for Jackson, Mississippi, that goes for Nashville, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. I could call it anywhere. Because and pay attention to this, y'all. Anywhere it happens to be where there are large concentrations of black folks.
Yes, absolutely.
You worry about why our kids have asthma and ADHD and they're overdiagnosed and improperly cared for. It is to create a system.
That's right.
So when you mean to tell me you're gonna over medicate a young black male or a young black female in a public school system because they're busy or they're anxious, maybe your curriculum ain't that interesting.
Maybe that might be it.
Maybe you don't know how to teach these kids.
Maybe you need to.
All of us learn in different ways, and so if you're gonna take on the role and the responsibility of being an educator, it is your job to figure out what that child needs, and it's not medication. Right. I get so sick and tired of folks thinking that the only way to cure black folks is to give us a pill. Maybe people didn't realize what happened to the Tuskegee Airmen.
I know.
Maybe we forgot about that part.
Right.
Or Henrietta Lacks. Right. So yeah, there's a huge mistrust of black people and other folks in this country for very legitimate reasons.
And going back to Michigan, because to Waikinya's point, to your point, Kim, you also have to pay attention to where the cues are coming from. So Trump also said to folks in Michigan that were in suburban counties to go to the hubs, the urban hubs, and watch the electoral system, watch them vote. That's crazy. So you're basically promoting white councils, right, of citizens to come back and police black people. So he doesn't have to even do nothing because they are just listening to all these coded language, and triggers to be right on his foot soldiers. And that's the problem where Waikinya is saying we actually have to step up and understand what's happening and figure out and strategize and actually step forward and do things around what's happening. And it is at a local level. We have to really, really, as you counted with the House seats and the governorships and the Senate seats, we also have to look at the local ballots because those affect us directly and vote down the ballot.
And referendums.
Those measures, because you actually can vote on a measure before it gets on the ballot. Pay attention. Do you know where your polling place is? Have you checked to make sure you're not purged for the voter rolls? Have you been to the election site where you are, the local election site, to ask questions? Have you seen the material online? Just identify. That's step one. Identify your power locally. locally. Find out who your local councilman is. Find out who your person is. Oh, look, get all of the people in line who you need to contact and get their numbers down. Make a one-sheeter. Put it on the side of your refrigerator. Put the date on it. Yeah. Put your dates on it. Get ready. Just like you're active in church, just like you're active in the community, just like we're active in social settings, be active and progressive in voting, because it will just not only affect you, but the future of your children and their children's children. So we have to vote these people out who are not doing their jobs.
But then also map it out.
Yeah.
Like, these issues are so personal that you should be mapping them out.
That's right.
Figure out which ones are impacting you the most, affecting you the most, and will also probably affect your children the most if you have them, or if you don't have them, your community the most, and map it out. Figure out who you need to be talking to. Figure out what it is that's wrong. Figure out what you want. Figure out your course of action and who's going to help you get there.
Right.
Power mapping is a serious thing, y'all. When people were huddling in the fields and in the churches trying to come together and figure out a plan, somebody had to outline all of this stuff.
Right.
This is not new to us.
Right.
We ain't got to always be talking. We got to get to work. And if we ain't at the work, then what we doing?
That's right.
And we always can't be against something. Figure out what you for and work on that.
That's right.
It's always going to be something here that you against. It is. But it's very few things that you're going to be for. Figure out what you are for and work and activate around that. And everything you against, so it'll fade out. It'll fade out anyway.
That's true. So let me ask you this question. If we could talk to the simplest degree of people who maybe don't understand about the systematically mapping it out, our grandmothers, that, you know, the senior citizens, which we know were part of the movement, the brains going through initially, or that young person, you know, because in a lot of states they're lowering the voting age, which, you know, could be good, you know what I'm saying, but like you said, they're taking civics out, so maybe they don't understand. Some people vote according to what their parents, or who their parents vote for. You know, or maybe their grandmother, or who they saw on TV last, or, you know, those signs when you're walking into the polling place, that was the last sign you saw. But if you could just speak to the simplest mind, or the person who really doesn't understand, what would you say to that person to say, your vote is not only important, but we need you?
Well, I have a funny story. So last night I was with my my alumni chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Federal City Alumni Chapter, and we were doing voter registration at Gallery Place around Wakanda, Black Panther, around the Black Panther movie, and I had the privilege of talking to 3 young men. Different occasions, right? On different occasions, pulling them to the side. I love the fact that I'm from the South, because I got a lot of my mama in me, and so I can look at somebody and tell what they lying to me, right? And so approached this young man who I said, "Have you registered to vote?" I said, "Is your voter registration up to date?" He was like, "No, I don't think so, but I gotta get to this thing real quick." I said, "Where you about to get to?" I said, "It's gonna take you 60 seconds to fill out this form." He said, "No, but I said, come in. Let me say." I said, "Are you going to let somebody else decide what happens to you?" I said, "When you get up in the morning, you go look out your door, how does that make you feel? Do you want to be a person who can change that? If so, you need to be registered to vote." Like, this is the first step for you. You control what happens in your community. He was from Ward 8.
Wow.
He was from Ward 8, and he told me, he was like, "You know what, I appreciate you for that." Because we have to do a better job of telling the narrative that this is about us. Voting, it ain't about any particular person. He's like, "Well, what election coming up?" I said, "Baby, this ain't even about election. This is about you having the power to change what happens in election." So you should ever let someone else decide for you. Now, another observation that I made when I was on voter registration was that when I would ask white folks, is their voter registration up to date? The white woman would always look at her husband and say, "Yes, yes." So you want to get down into the nitty gritty of what happened in 2016, or you just want to need a circle? Because I can go wherever you need me to go.
Go wherever you want to
maybe
go.
in another show.
There has to be a part 2.
There has to be a part 2 to that. But what I want to tell you is, young people are motivated by a cause, not by a person.
That's right.
They care about what's impacting them, what's going to be best for the future. They are very responsible and thoughtful in that regard. So sometimes our biggest fault as older people, and I'm a millennial and Ebonie is too, and you right up there with us. So around that time, we think about, we start thinking about responsibility and engagement, and that's how we move. But young people think no, that ain't right. I ain't gonna vote for that. That ain't right. So that's what you saw in 2016. They saw a whole lot what wasn't right.
Yeah.
And they didn't have another recourse. And that was a problem for them. And I understand that. Now, I do think it was then incumbent upon us to talk to them about the severity of their decision. And that's what we failed them. But ultimately, I understand that. What I don't understand is how people who are older than us go and let somebody else tell them how they should live.
Right.
Women, understand this. You have people, you have men who never had the responsibility of bearing a child, never had a menstrual cycle, never had any of the things that goes on with your body, never had fibrosis or any of those other challenges that we as women face with our organs and our responsibility to carry life, to be the life carriers and barriers. We have that responsibility, not men.
Right.
And so you let these men, you still into a man to tell you what to do.
Tell you what to do.
You have the responsibility of protecting yourself and generations that are coming after you. You are the life givers. You are the procreators. You carry life into the next phase.
That's right.
And so you cannot let somebody tell you how to think. That's
right.
crazy to me.
That's true.
One of the other things that I think that's really important as a millennial, because Waikinya was spot on, we need to, the talking to me is very important. Education and engagement. Breaking down what that means. What's the issue that you care about, and here's how some tools that you can use for next steps to actually implement to try to make change on that issue. Because what we have to understand, there's no overnight fix. I know we got technology and all this stuff is instant, but justice and reform is not instant. We got to keep working at it. We got to keep providing, reaching back and educating the next person. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? There was no Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter in the civil rights movement. They had a phone in the church. And look, and it took them years and years. It wasn't a year. It took them years. But it was consistent, and it was foot soldiers to the ground. Everybody had a place where you didn't disagree, whereas where you didn't work, but it was consistent. And that's how change was had. That's how change was made. Of course, that bluff was called, but it didn't stop them from moving forward.
Right. That's true.
So we definitely have to talk to our young people. I know there's a couple of instances where my daughter reached back to me and said, "Ma, this is happening at school. What do we do here?" I said, "Okay, you ready to be the radical one?" She said, "Yes." I said, "That comes with responsibility. You got to know what it comes with." "Okay, so this is what I want you to tell your friends." And she did it, and they did it, and it created change. She said it worked. I said, "Great. Don't be afraid. Don't let people take your voice from you. Don't be afraid to move forward and work on the issue. That if it affects you, you work on it."
Okay, that's true. Now, I want to be able to do this. I want to open up the lines. If you want to call in and ask one of these ladies or myself a question, you can call in at 301-429-9247. If you want to get involved, if you have questions about the Black Millennial Convention that's coming up, whatever your question is, you can call, or if you want to make a statement, you can call. But when you call, make sure you're real, make sure it's relevant. I'm going to need you to do that and not just be heard. You understand what I'm saying? So, but yeah, you can call in at 301-429-9247. So, but we're going to continue. We're going to move on. I want to say this.
Oh, somebody's calling.
Already.
All right.
Now, what I need to do?
Okay. You so.
Hello? Hello? Hi.
You got to put the phone on the speakerphone.
Hold on, Dave B. Carter. Hold on 1 second. We're taking you live. Dave B. Carter.
Yes.
Hi, okay, you're on.
I wanted to say hello to the lovely ladies that are on live right now.
Hi, David.
Right now.
Hi, David.
Hello. I just wanted to say that this is great. I have a comment, also a question. But my comment is, this is great, and we have to continue to let people know that there are strong Black women that are fighting for us each and every day. That are on the forefront, on the ground, really fighting for us. And there's some evil out there, and you all are still battling it so strongly. So I just wanted to say thank you and continue doing the work that you're doing. My question is, to those millennials that want to get into the political realm, that want to run for office, but may not have the experience, but they have a dream, they have a vision, and they want to do things right by their community, by their constituents or potential constituents, what advice, and this is prompted to both you, Waikinya, and Ebonie, what advice would you give to those young millennials that want to throw their hat into the ring, but a little reluctant based on their experience or based on the climate currently now?
When you say throw their hat into the ring, what are you referring to? Are you referring to running for office or just organizing in their community?
Well, let's say both. The question was primarily about running for office, but I think not everyone wants to run for office. Some want to be want to be organizers. So what would you say to both of that?
I think they have to get started now. You know, figure out what opportunities exist for them, and depending on where you are, we have state parties. I'm putting on my DNC hat. I'll put them on, take them out. So I'm putting on my DNC hat. With the DNC, we have state parties in each one of the states that young people can go into and volunteer their time, their resources, and it goes beyond the field. Like, if you have people who are good at social media, most of them need infrastructure. We're preparing to roll out a 50-state fellowship program that they can apply to and get involved with. But then also, if they want to just get their bare bones and their bare bearings, we have the Black Millennial Convention, to put on that hat now, that's going to be held in D.C. April the 12th through the 15th. And what we're doing, we're teaching them not only about policy, but we're training folks on how to do this work. Also making it relevant for them, right? Making it real and relevant. Each person has a different issue that's going to impact them differently, and there are wonderful opportunities for them to get involved. And then there's another, I got my start in this work with the NAACP in Mississippi. I served as the Tougaloo College president. I organized a group of students from Tougaloo and Jackson State to go to Jena, Louisiana, and we marched in support of the Jena 6. We marched all the way to the tree stump that had the nooses hanging from it, and did some work around that as well. So, I mean, it started. There's so many opportunities. You have the National Action Network, you have Urban, you have all these other groups, but it depends on really what they're interested in. But the Black Millennial Convention is a great place to start. You have not only myself, but a number of other key professionals who are trained in media, who are trained. A couple of elected officials also will be there with us, and who also serve in the steering committee, like Dr. Wes Bellamy of Charlottesville, Virginia, as well as Representative Joelle Jones of Michigan. So, like, we have all type of resources for folks, but also I would encourage them to partner up with folks in the community who've already done what they're looking to do. We can always learn from folks who've been there and done that, and we can't throw that away. Like, our elders, our ancestors, that is knowledge, that is wisdom that we need to try to inherit in some way, or another.
Yeah, so thanks so much, David, for calling. This is Ebonie Riley. I know I'm on live stream. Thank you so much for calling in with your question. To Waikinya's point, I definitely believe that you should start by doing your research. Map out your community. Look at the issues. Write them down. See what the problems that you are willing to put yourself out there to fix, and then reach out to those who've done it before you. For good or for bad, you're going to learn how to move forward and what you don't want to do, right, as an elected official. It's possible, and I think that there are a lot of young people who've ran recently and who are continuing to run and are being supported, but you should definitely know that you can do it. I just think that, as Waikinya said, you should start out by going and volunteering, interning, going around talking to people in communities, and I mean not just at church, but also at homeless shelters, also at detention centers, also at community boys and girls clubs. Talk to the people in the area, see what the need is. You need to facilitate the need. What's the need? What are we asking? What are you trying to fulfill for those in your community? Because you're serving. So what do you want to serve? And then you need to create a support system, like a team who will not get paid, right? Yeah. And then we just support the dream, and to put that around you to keep you lifted, to move you forward, because it's for a larger vision. Yeah. And it's to serve others. I got my start volunteering at National Action Network. I always say this joke, but it may not be applied to some. I was woke before it was cool to be woke, and so I volunteered because they called me back. And I went in, I volunteered for a year in the Washington, D.C. Bureau, which I now run, and then that led me to going into organizing marches around Trayvon Martin and a rally around Trayvon Martin in D.C., which led to larger marches. I helped along with the team do the 50th anniversary to the March on Washington's march. We had a march where my name was on the first permit. Was 50,000 people in the streets around justice, around criminal justice, police brutality. It was around an issue. So you can definitely mobilize, engage, and educate people around issues. I think you should start off by just putting yourself out there, pushing through the fear, and just start talking to your community.
And then I also want to say, David, too, I know, Waikinya, you have something coming up that I actually registered for, because I thought about running, and Ebonie was going to be my campaign manager. Then I kind of pumped out.
Wow! What's going on?
Actually, what happened was when I went down to Atlanta, and I was going to run for city council, 8th ward, and I left. and I knew in my heart, I knew, you know, he wasn't going to survive anything, but I was out of place. And so when Mayor Barry passed away, I was in Atlanta and getting back here and getting started and everything and those types of things. But I'm not saying that I'm not going to run, because I did. I just registered for the Yale program that you're an alumni of.
Yes.
And so I'm coming to that. So I'm excited about that, because I want to, everybody that meets me, they're always saying, you need to run. You need to run. You need to run. I have a passion for people in my community. And so I am going to come. Because you went through it, and I was like, yeah, I think I need to come and hear and see. So there are different things, but again, I want you to just connect with Waikinya, or connect with Ebonie. I said, David, thank you for calling, and David is my co-host. I'm thankful you're not here today, but I thank you for calling in, because David is considering running. Well, he did take his hat out and try to run, but then after he spoke, you know, speaking with myself and Ebonie and the woman who would have been his opponent, she has such a long history, and we talked about him sitting and shadowing her, because she's done great work, but he wants to take it to another level, but to come in on her coattail and kind of to make the transition more smoother, which she was willing to support him in. So it's not over for David to run in his district in Baltimore. And David, I thank you for that question. It's a very amazing question, because we can't just talk about voting, but we need to position people who are valuable candidates. You know, a lot of times we talk about, I just want to run, but like Ebonie said, you got to have a platform. Even myself, working in the movements, working alongside of you with the March on Washington, the 50th anniversary. The marches.
We have
several, and national conventions, and working with greats like Melanie Campbell with Black Youth Vote, and you know, working and partnering with Noble, and just different things. What you see at this table right here is years of experience. Don't ever get it twisted. Do not get it twisted.
Was with Waikinya. In her former role, was she took tools to empower Black women interested in running for office. So, David, I'm going to stay on you about it. And at times, you know, it's great to have mentorship, but sometimes we have to move those folks out of the way if they don't provide us the avenue. We have to make our own path.
And I wanted to say something. I was really hesitant in saying it, but I won't be. I want you to understand what calls you to serve, because it is a calling. Yes. And it is not an opportunity.
That's right.
And I really want folks to stop thinking about it like that. Yeah. Like, if you are being called to something, it doesn't matter who's there before you. If you are called, meaning divine, right? Something has directed you to that place, then you need to do it. Now, it ain't comfortable. It ain't fun. Raising money ain't fun. It ain't easy. No. Getting on but guess what? It is all doable. And you can't sometimes, you know, it's one thing to pay respect and say, hey, I'm interested in doing this and this is what I'm going to do. But if you're being called to it, you need to do it. Yeah. It don't matter who's sitting there. I don't care how long they've been sitting there. Some people have been sitting out for 40 years and ain't still ineffective. So what are we waiting on them to do? Move, die? No, you can't do that. No. You have to operate in your purpose in that moment and understand what is compelling you to serve. And it's always great to pray deference to those who are there before you. And look, again, it's a calling. It's not an opportunity. And whoever's serving in that role, they got to understand it ain't comfortable. You got to work for that. Because right now we have too many elected leaders who are comfortable because we don't want to move them out of the way. No. If you ain't doing your job, if I've been calling you for 3 years about the same issue, it's time you go. It's wrap that up, because you're not able to rightfully represent me. And that's what we got to get to. And that's why you saw people coming out and saying, nah, I'm good. Yeah. I'm going to sit this one out. And I don't ever want anyone to sit something out because they think they already know the outcome has been decided for them. That's good. We cannot take away that opportunity for people to be involved in this democracy and democracy period. And because we want somebody else to feel okay and comfortable and cool. This ain't cool. Right. This is work. Public service is work. It ain't luxurious.
That's right.
So you want to stay in your position because you get your detail or your check or this or that or the other, but people are suffering.
That's right.
So if I was called to do something to read the word of suffering, then I need to be operating in that purpose.
That's
and
right.
I don't care who has the position. You got to understand your purpose. That's my word.
And that city council needs to be refreshed, David. So I'm gonna stay on you. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I thank y'all so much. This was truly inspiring. You all have a great and wonderful day, all right?
Thank you, David.
Yes, and so that is key. That's key, and we're down to like the last few minutes. We got 9 more minutes or less before we get ready to go. I want to be, just in case we get into this another conversation before we get out, I want to personally thank both of you for being here today. Again, prior to us coming out here to go live, we had this girl talk, and I'm telling you, I remember the days. I remember when you first came to D.C. I remember when you took your position at Nobel, and I'm just like so proud of you. When you were posting and you was talking about the DNC, I was like, yes, yes. Don't stop, get it. Ebony, I was there when I remember we were the morning after we had worked all night for days, no sleep. And we were leading into the March on Washington. And I remember the day before we actually did the march. And we had reporters and media out the wazoo. And then getting up before.
Death threats?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, people think that we don't get death threats. And we do.
All the time.
And they show up to our office.
Yes. And I remember that. You remember that day that the man had come to the door and he was asking wouldn't leave. And I'm like, yo, dude, I was like telling at the time the bureau chief.
Looks like you have new callers.
Okay, we got a new caller. You can
It says 1 or 2.
We don't want to not let someone talk.
Maybe I did it wrong.
But when we were having those death threats, and I remember Ebony that next morning, and we were over at the monument, and I mean, it was crazy. The tickets were
Before I almost passed out.
And I remember you were standing there, and you were like, oh my God, and you were crying. I'm telling you, I want to personally say thank you. I cannot thank the two of you enough that you didn't count it robbery to come and sit on this show. I'm just like excited, y'all, and I'm telling y'all, when they already there, because, they are that, and, so, but I'm just saying, you saw them on WBGR on KCWMoments Unplugged, Real Relevant.
I just want to thank you. You and I, in this story, that many stories, but we introduced Eric Garner's mother to Sabrina Fulton.
Yes,
we have been through so much as women working in this space. I want to share the same sentiment with Waikinya. I mean, she came out the gate like boom, boom, boom. I'm so happy and I'm so excited to see what the future holds because her trajectory is it's not even at an angle. That thing just shot up like a rocket.
That's right, helicopter going straight up.
And I just want to thank you, and I want to make sure that I support your vision. And I'm so excited for you with this show. I think it's a great platform. You and I have been down many journeys, award shows and marches and other organizing things. We're gonna have to cut some folks out in church, outside of church, just all types of different things. And so I really thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about some of the issues, because at the end of the day, we really are doing this work because we care about the people.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to make sure we reiterate. I was called to this, while Kenya was called to this. You were called to do what you do because of the people and the purpose. And that's what I just want to make sure that we focused on. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to just say how blessed I am to be here next to two dynamic and phenomenal women. Two women who I have had the pleasure of knowing for a couple of years now, and I really call them sister and friend, and not because it's cool or trendy, because it's real. And we are so connected and interconnected in this work, and I'm often just very grateful to God for just the people He's put in the ship with me, right? Who just do the thing, and everybody understands why we're here to do this work. Kim, this is purpose, and I want you, don't worry about nothing else. Everything else will be added unto you as long as you're operating in God's purpose, and we understand that. Ebonie does a lot of boosting and promoting other people, but I'm gonna let y'all know right here today on this show that this is a rock star, and she's not a rock star because of where she's connected, it's because of what she's connected to, and it's always about improving somebody else. Even with her organizations that she's starting and she's cultivating, she's been doing this work, and not because it was sexy or cool or trendy, but because it was real and it was necessary. And I think that's the other thing. People don't know. They think you're just like this young mover and shaker, but you're also a mother. You know what I mean?
That's
Beyonce,
right.
she on the way to smoke stuff,
That's
and she
right.
bouncing on. She is the black girl role model. You are the one that we're aspiring to be, because you don't put other things ahead of the work. And I think that's the most important. You'll put yourself ahead of the work, and I think that's the most admirable thing I can say about you, but also the thing I want you to change a little bit. Just because you are great and you are a bomb. Like, I can't, someone as explosive as you are, and the way that you always extend yourself to help other people and promote other people, that's real, and that needs to be celebrated and elevated. And I'm just so blessed and honored to be here with such magical and incredible women who are just doing the thing and about to change the game for everybody. So
I know that's right. Well, we have come to another end of another show, y'all. Please stay tuned. These ladies will be back as we get closer to the Millennial Conference, as we get closer to other things that we're kicking out, we're birthing out. I am excited. Thank you for joining us today at KCW Moments Unplugged, where we're real and we're relevant.
Wakanda, y'all. Wakanda forever.
Go see Black Panther if you haven't seen it.
break the box office.
Yes. So we love you here. David, thank you for calling in. To all of our viewers, Ebonie Rice, Sadie Chadwick, and all Chantel Mayers, Ivan Austin watching from California, thank you so much for tuning in, and we love you. Goodbye.
Peace.
Peace. And we're out.